Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing What If Naruto Was a Prodigy? Part 3. Yeah. I don't think I have really anything to say. But yeah, so let's get into the recap. So last episode, we covered the Land Waves arc, where Naruto befriended Kurama. Man. And Naruto befriended Kurama, and they also went into the Chunin exams, and are in the preliminaries. And the preliminary matches went through, and the preliminary matches were... all the fights went the same as canon, with Naruto beating Menma pretty easily. So yeah, now we enter the 1 month training period. So yeah, Naruto's gonna go to Mount Miyamboku. But the problem is he has to stay hidden. From Jiraiya and Menma training, since they're both gonna be trained just because they really want to get stronger. Oh, and in the preliminaries, Kiba went against Kabuto. So yeah. Orochimaru was pretty disappointed with how the Chunin exams went, but, you know, what can he do? It is what it is. Naruto says he's gonna go do some training on his own, and, yeah. Sasuke says, okay. He doesn't really suspect anything since Naruto will vanish for a few days when it comes to training. Before Naruto leaves, he's packing up some stuff, and then Kushina, when he's trying to leave, asks him where he's going. Naruto begins to say, why should she care? And Kushina said because she's his mother. Naruto just looked at her and began to say he's going out to go training. And Kushina said why. Naruto said he had the Chunin exams coming up, so he wanted to train. Kushina said why train when you feel like you can beat everyone, because everyone knows that's how you feel, since you're so arrogant. Naruto began to say because he wants to be able to become stronger, and also Menma's the one who's arrogant. Then Kushina gets really mad at Naruto for bad-mouthing Menma. Naruto just said, oh well, I'll say whatever I want to say. They just walked out the door, leaving Kushina, about to say something, but she just runs out, but Naruto's already gone. He body flickered away to Mount Miyamboku. Naruto left a clone in the forest training. So yeah, he could train as well as training in this. Naruto would actually be taught by an alternate toad this time, Sage Mode, that would be taught it by him, they would be instructed to teach it to Naruto, so that way, none of the other toads find out, and the secret reaches Jiraiya, and yeah. Oh. Naruto gets Sage Mode done within the month, and then wants to train some of his other jutsu. He asks them if there's any more jutsu that they have that he could possibly learn. And they taught him, they said that they didn't actually have any jutsu. Naruto said, oh, okay, and just thanked them for, their time and helping him train. And the other toad told him to stop by, whenever he felt like it. And Naruto said he would. So Naruto disappeared. Naruto can hold Sage Mode for around... I'm gonna say he can stay in it for a few hours. Since I want Naruto to use Sage Mode a lot. You know. He can just use it for a while. Yeah, he will use it for an hour. At the start of it. For right now. But yeah, so yeah. Naruto begins to go to the finals for Chunin exams, which Jiraiya also attends with Menma, just because, why not? But yeah, Menma, Here's what the matches are gonna be. The matches are gonna be Naruto, Gaara, Sasuke. Oh, Kabuto won his match against Kiba. Yeah. Kabuto, Sasuke, Kabuto. And then, all the same matches as canon. So yeah, all the same matches will go as planned, and then it'll be Sasuke versus Kabuto. So all the matches will go before Naruto and Naruto and Gaara. They're the last match. And everyone wanted Sasuke versus Gaara, but they're satisfied with Naruto since they've heard he's stronger than Naruto. But none of them really believe that. But when they heard that he helped Sasuke beat the record, they were kind of skeptical as well. But yeah. Naruto. Naruto would Sasuke would begin his fight with Kabuto. Sasuke would find it very difficult to injure Kabuto, and then until he charged up a Chidori, which everyone kind of looked oddly at. But then Sasuke charged at Kabuto. Kabuto trying to injure Sasuke, at least swung, but it ended up being a shadow clone, with Sasuke behind Kabuto, piercing his stomach in a spot where he could then immobilize him and knocking him out. Sasuke beat Kabuto pretty easily because of his how smart he was. It doesn't mean he's as strong as Kabuto. Like in raw strength, Kabuto's stronger, but in that fight, Sasuke was the better opponent. And this just makes Orochimaru even more mad, but he's like, maybe this one-tailed brat will be able to win a match. So yeah, now we go over to Naruto and Gaara's fight. Naruto can fight like Lee did, and he doesn't even need to use KCM to beat Gaara at this point. But he realized something, that Gaara's seal wasn't right, so he was gonna seal Gaara. The one-tailed in Gaara. And, yeah. Naruto would fight Gaara for a little bit. And he began to crack his seal. His, plating. And just began to break that down. And as soon as it got exposed, his stomach got exposed. He put some chakra into his hand and blitzed Gaara quicker than the sand could and hit his stomach. And then he let off of his stomach and made it look like it was a punch. So he made it look like it was a punch, but it actually was a seal. And sent Gaara flying. And Gaara landed into something. And then Naruto slammed his knee into Gaara's face, knocking him out for sure. Now, all the sand, ninja would start stepping back, thinking, oh no, what an idiot. Then they realized Gaara's not transforming whatsoever. And Gaara's asleep right now. So, they're pretty shocked. And this makes Orochimaru's day even worse. So he just full sends it and attacks Minato, but Minato grabs his hand and says, what is he doing? Then Orochimaru reveals himself and Minato says, oh, so you have a death wish, I suppose. Minato, this starts to become hot crush with Orochimaru, signaling it, saying that Gaara failed them, so just attack. But yeah, Naruto, now that Gaara isn't a threat, Temari and Kankuro jump down. They were both ready to fight Naruto. Naruto then just throws Gaara to them and tells them to leave or else he'll kill them. And both of them, remembering Naruto's bloodlust, leave. Then Naruto creates 10,000 shadow clones and they go around defending the village. A lot of the villagers see that Naruto is heavily carrying the Leaf Village with Sasuke. And this is when Naruto begins to earn a lot of their respect. Because a lot of them are kind of disliking Minato, since some of them are starting to use some brain power and realize that Minato kind of really didn't treat Naruto very well. He allowed them to beat them up. We're going to do a flashback one of them has, where Minato actually joined him beating up Naruto. So yeah, he helped beat him up. So yeah. Yeah, but Naruto then, he gets to, Naruto, with the help of Naruto and Sasuke, around the village, Lee Village successfully repels the attack really well. And yeah. With the same being forced to sue from, being forced to surrender since they weren't in control, and Gar being promoted. Well, yeah, and, yeah. Gar now having the thing sealed as Naruto also actually would toss him a scroll, Tomorrow and Kankuro, so that way they could, and it explained how the reason Gar was acting up was because the One Tails was not properly sealed, so he decided to seal the One Tails properly in a strong 8 trigram seal. Sorry. So yeah, Tomorrow and Kankuro are definitely thankful for this, and they tell Gar the news. Gar asks how Naruto knew this, and they just shrugged it off, saying that he did say it was a Jinchuriki as well. And he left a note for Gar, which he asked them to not open. And Gar read the note, and this is when Gar gets, right no jutsu, talk no jutsu, but, yeah. And, yeah, Gaara ends up becoming a better person and helping people, and he also begins to gain the trust of the, his villagers slowly. But, one thing, we're gonna switch over to the Akatsuki's point of view. They're gonna begin to say, the Nine Tails brat, he's looking increasingly more like, at the time we get to him, he's gonna be our biggest threat. Pain says. Itachi begins to say he'll go give him a checkup. Maybe injure him a bit, so that way, when he comes back, he may be less weak. Pain says not to capture him right now, since they need to capture them all in order. 1 through 9. But, yeah, Itachi and Kisame then head out to the Leaf Village, where Naruto and Sasuke are each going to be training. Itachi is going to be happy to see that Sasuke made himself a friend, and is happy to see how strong Sasuke is, and that Naruto is extremely strong as well. Right now, the Akatsuki do not know that Naruto is KCM or Sage Mode, so yeah. But, yeah, Naruto and Sasuke each begin to, Itachi and Kisame decide to make the move on Naruto at night, but they find it risky since he does sleep at the Hokage's office. But one night he decides to stay at Sasuke's house, and they think this is the perfect night to strike. They knock on the door, trying to make it seem like someone's there or something, but Naruto and Sasuke each know something is up. Naruto immediately goes into Sage Mode, and Sasuke activates his Sharingan. So each of them walk down the stairs, down to it. They open it up and see Itachi and Kisame. Naruto and Sasuke both poof, and they hear a window slide open and people jumping out. Kisame says these brats are smart, and Itachi nods his head. I wouldn't expect anything less from them, considering they finished at the top of their class at a very young age. And they both chase after them, giving pursuit. Naruto then tells Sasuke that he's gonna body flicker them back to his house. But Sasuke says we're getting way too much trouble. Naruto says it doesn't matter. Since Naruto has the Nine Tails, it'll matter to him once, they hear that, someone tried to capture him. And Sasuke nodded his head. Naruto then puts his hand on Sasuke's back. Itachi says, body flicker. It's a body flicker or something. We lost him. He'll body flicker back to the Hokage's house. Kisame began to say, ugh, this was a failure. Itachi nodded. But, yeah, Naruto would body flicker back to the Hokage's house, and both him and Sasuke would land on the ground. Minato would immediately rush over with a kunai, and would see Naruto and Sasuke. I would say that Itachi and Kisame would throw kunai at him, so each of them would be very scratched up. and they would all ask what the ruckus was. And Naruto and Sasuke would begin to explain how Itachi, a shark-looking dude, came at their door in black robes with red clouds. They didn't know what it was, but they were guessing they were after Naruto. Since it was his time sleeping there, so it would have been a good time to strike. And Minato says, okay, you two are to stay here for right now. We're gonna lock down the village and try and keep those two in. Minato began to alert the village to look out for Itachi and Kisame, men in black robes with red clouds on them, and to alert authorities immediately, and that he would deal with them immediately. That he would deal with them personally to make sure they're both dead. He would also find out that shark person was Kisame, and would say that people need to be very careful, that these people are dangerous. The Leaf would begin to patrol, and Minato would begin to look around. Itachi seeing this, and actually overhearing this, and hearing Itachi would be spying on Minato with Kisame, just trying to see if there's any flaws in his plan. But then each of them would hear this. Those two brats caused me a whole lot of problems. I need to keep this job right now. And Itachi would begin to take notes. Itachi would say, our best bet is to cause mayhem in the Leaf. And Kisame said, what? Itachi said their best bet was to cause mayhem with the civilians. So if they tell civilians what Minato did under disguise, as if they're talking about it and a civilian overhears, they'll get wind. And Minato will have to deal with that while they make their escape. And he won't be able to push it behind him since it's fairly important. So yeah, Itachi and Kisame, disguised as Zanbu, talk about how Minato was all mad that he had to deal with Itachi and Kisame, and how he wished he never told Itachi to murder the clan, and how he wished he never forced Itachi to play bad guy. Itachi says it's all made up, but Kisame kind of thinks that it's kind of too intricate to be made up, and that Itachi was actually ordered to kill the clan. But he doesn't really care. Someone who goes through with it is still a murderer in his book. But yeah. However, he saw Itachi, he wouldn't really change his point of view. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah. Naruto and Sasuke, hearing this, kind of will smile, knowing that Naruto's myth about Itachi was right. And I believe I covered this myth, or the myth was that Itachi was ordered by the village leaders and stuff like that. It may be a myth that I used in different What If, but that's gonna be the myth that I have this time. And the villagers start getting pissed as this rumor spreads around, since I'm just gonna say that they liked Itachi. They found him as a nice guy, so they're gonna start demanding answers. So Minato was to divert Anbu to cover them to deal with the villagers, and also, he also has to deal with this. So it worked in Itachi and Kisame's favor. And Itachi said, "See, I told you," after they make it out of the Leaf Village. So yeah, Naruto and Sasuke say that Itachi and Kisame are probably out by now, and begin to walk out. But then Kushina stops them, saying that they're still in lockdown. They say that this was probably the start of Itachi and Kisame, even though all the things they may have said outside were not lies. But they're probably out of the village by now, since who would want to stay in the village right now? This was probably all orchestrated by them, so that way they could escape the village, and exposing Minato's lies would be a perfect thing. She asked, were they spying on him? And Naruto and Sasuke just began to say that they were saying stuff that was the truth, since it would be the most liable, and it would be the hardest for Minato to make up a lie about. That's why would they care if Minato gets hurt whatsoever, his career gets hurt whatsoever. But yeah, Minato, as all these allegations come out, they're like all Minato's dirty things, like how he never really took care of Naruto, and how he beat up Naruto. All these things started to come up, and people really started to dislike Minato for that few weeks. Itachi and Kisame reported to the Akatsuki that they failed to be much bigger than messing up Naruto. And they said, and Pain said it could, and that it was actually a pretty good trade-off. So if they can get Minato down, they may be able to get a weaker Hokage. But Minato the civilian council will vote, and they will vote that they want to remove Minato. But the question would arise amongst them, and Minato will bring it up, who will replace him. And all the civilians would look over to, and begin to think. And, they would think, and they would be like, who would we replace him with? Danzo would say that he could, but then immediately someone would interrupt him and say, no, that Danzo is too mysterious for him. They need someone who's been through hard times and stuff. Someone who they couldn't imagine would do this. And they would begin to say, oh, Itachi, you guys were the ones that, forced him to kill the clan. You see, we could have had a replacement here by now. Itachi, they're definitely pretty, they're definitely taking a lot of shots at Minato. Minato said that Minato would say if they could give him a good replacement, he would be fine. But then the villagers said, civilian council said, that Minato has a year left. And at this point, Naruto is 12 and a half years old. So yeah, that's like where we're at. So, the search for Tsunade will happen to get Rock Lee back on the field. And, search as Memma and Jiraiya goes basically the same as in canon. But yeah, on Naruto, then, the Sasuke retrieval arc doesn't need to happen. And I believe that's it. Now we're gonna do instead of a 3-year, we're gonna do a 1-year time skip. And this is 1 year later. The civilian council meet with the elders. And, they say that they had a nominee. The reason they waited a year was so that way they could pick Naruto. And he's older now. He's gonna be turned 14 soon. Since he's 13 and a half, And we turn 14 soon. And Minato would immediately strike down the idea of that. But then the civilian council would look up at the elders. It was something the entire civilian council agreed on. Danzo would immediately say that having such a young kid might not be the smartest idea. They said even though that Naruto may not be the smartest, and not be the oldest person, and maybe very immature, they could be a good replacement for the long term. And also, he is a prodigy, so he is very skilled. He is one of the main reasons why we didn't get invaded during the Chunin exams, if you've already forgotten. I never saw you out there on the battlefield. And, Danzo's pretty mad by them saying this, and says, so you're mocking me? Who holds the higher position here? And they say that they aren't mocking him, they're just bringing up facts here. And, Naruto would then be asked by some civilian council members, if he would be willing to become Hokage. Naruto would kind of look confused at this. And he would say that he is really happy that they asked him to fill the role, but he feels he doesn't want to take on the responsibility just yet, and that if they give him, 2 more years, he'll be ready for it. He just wants to be able to, live his life right now. And they said they completely understand, and they thank him. So they go back to Minato, and they say in 2 more years, Naruto will take over the position of Hokage, becoming the 5th Hokage. And Minato begins to basically object to it, but Danzo, seeing this as an opportunity to manipulate Naruto, says he agrees, and that Minato isn't a good Hokage. And Minato begins to say, but you're worse. And Danzo says that Naruto would be a better option. Minato would begin to, really get really mad, wondering how this could happen. How his entire plan to have Menma destroy Naruto in the long run, and have him be on top of the throne to see it, basically, went to shit. Where the hell did he go wrong? He began to realize Menma's never had contact with the Nine Tails. Does this mean that the Nine Tails could all be inside Naruto? But he said no, that's impossible. He saw it get sealed inside Menma. But maybe Menma had a part of it that had to go back to the original. So now Naruto has 100% Nine Tails chakra. He said, could that be where the plan went bad? But then he's just kind of shaking his head, and the villagers began to look at him. And they said, what are you plotting? And Minato just began to say, yeah, that works. And he says, yeah, that works. That's a good compromise for all of us. So now, we do a 2-year time skip, and Naruto takes over as Hokage. The villagers are happy a lot. And, the Akatsuki are, about to make their move. And, Naruto and Gaara are both Kage right now. And, their villages have a very close relationship with each other. Very good relationship. Naruto is kind of split away from that family, and I always forget to introduce a ship. I suck when it comes to ships, dude. I don't know who to ship who with. The one person I can always think of is Hinata, but I want to have it be I want to be a bit more creative and not just have them all be Hinata. I would say Naruto's still a single boy. But yeah, Naruto and Sasuke each live together since both of them are best friends. And, when Naruto gets the news that Gaara was kidnapped, he immediately assembled a squad. The squad would be Sasuke, him, Rock Lee, Neji, Might Guy, and Kakashi. So it'd be a 5-man squad. Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, Might Guy, Rock Lee, Neji. Right? No, that's 6. Neji, Rock Lee, Guy, Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke. Yeah, that's a 6-man squad. Yeah. The reason they brought Rock Lee and Guy is that each of them are fairly strong and they could use the right gates. Neji was for his Byakugan, Sasuke because he's strong, and Kakashi because he's a good friend. So yeah, Naruto has to Shakugan to do Hokage business. No one would really realize it. Yeah. If anything went wrong, he learned the flying rising so he can fly rising back. And him and Gaara had met up, and he placed flying rising mark in the Sand Village. So they flying rising to the Sand Village, and said that Naruto had placed a mark here when they came here a while back, and the Sand Guards understood. And they began to assemble a squad to go get Gaara back. After they would not be able to find the cure for Kankuro, so I need Kankuro alive because he was very important during the war. How can I do this? They're just gonna bring Tsunade since they tell him that Kankuro is frozen, and they bring Tsunade and tell her to work on an antidote. They give them the antidote just in case, so that way they all have the poison. Tsunade ends up making the antidote around the same time that it took Sakura. Then they head out to find Gaara. They find Gaara pretty quickly, and they're able to stop the extraction by Neji, with Neji's help arriving extra quickly, and the 30% clones not being able to... Well, the 30% clones intercept them. And Naruto and Sasuke each body the respective ones. Since, it's only 30% of their power. It's not that big of a power. So, Naruto and Sasuke, once they reach there, Neji uses his Byakugan to find the locations, and they enter. This interrupts the thing, and they have to stop midway. Now I'm just gonna say, I don't even know if this is true or not. that when you stop midway through, you actually end up losing all your progress. And this is when Pain begins to start cursing out all of them. And Naruto begins to say to shut his mouth, that he'll kill him next, after he kills these two idiots. Granny Chio would have came to with along. And yeah, Naruto would then begin to Naruto and Sasuke would each get into a fighting stance, and they would fight Deidara. While Kakashi and actually Granny Chio will come along, and Granny Chio will fight Deidara. I mean, Sasori and Naruto and Sasuke will fight Deidara. Naruto and Sasuke ganging up on Deidara will basically kill him, but he'll end up faking it and escaping. Well, after that, they gang up on Sasori, and they kill him. They never get the Tenchi Bridge information, so they're good. Life is good. Garo wakes up. Life is good. Nothing really happens. He said he kind of felt like he was dying, but then he was alive again, and he thanks them, and he says they're in debt to them, and Naruto Gaara call a 5 Kage summit. And yeah, Naruto begins to announce to villagers about the threat of the Akatsuki, and how the village is going to be on much higher security. And if anyone sees anyone in black and red robes, do not engage, and immediately run away and report it. Since all these people are extremely high-level fighters that will give even the elitist of Jonin troubles on their own. Not even the fact that they travel in teams of 2 will make it extremely difficult to take them on. And after that he told the villagers about the 5 Kage summit. So yeah, Naruto heads out with Sasuke as his bodyguard, and yeah, as soon as they reach the 5 Kage summit, they begin to talk about, oh yeah, in the fight with Deidara, Naruto didn't even use KCM. He doesn't use it too much. Well, he does use it, but he didn't use it in that fight since they were trying to capture him alive to get more intel, and Ninetales told Naruto to do that because he thought it was a smart play. But yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to cover. During the time skip, Sasuke is going to get his Mangekyo. Reason being, Naruto is going to confirm his theory, and this will unlock him his Mangekyo. Since he always thought of it as a theory, he never really saw concrete evidence. But once Naruto became Hokage, he was able to prove it, and yeah. This made Sasuke pretty pissed. But yeah. Minato is struggling to try and gain some control in the village, but he really can't. Because Naruto has a tight leash on him. But yeah, Naruto and Sasuke would arrive at the summit on time, and the Raikage and everyone would ask why they called it. Naruto would say that it's about the Akatsuki threat, and that the tail beasts need to be extra protected, and began to explain basically what the Akatsuki were. Now, he had a run-in with them once, and how they are extremely dangerous, and when they travel in teams of 2, they can give even Kage trouble. And everyone began to say, and Naruto began to say that they are extracting the tail beast from the Jinchuriki, and all their eyes widen, and he begins to state how once they extract the tail beast, they're putting it into a statue. And he can only guess that the statue could mean the myth of the Sage of Six Paths defeating the Ten Tails, is that they're trying to resurrect the Ten Tails, then control the Ten Tails, to then rule the world. And the Kage, and hearing their tail beast disappearing, and all their land being taken over, immediately begin to reel in their tail beasts and tell them to stay real close since they don't want them getting captured. But, yeah. Hinan and Kakuzu will make their move on the 2 tails, but that's really all they talked about during the 5 Kage summit. Onoki also did kind of try and talk trash about Naruto and Sasuke, and he asked Naruto if he had a question to ask him like Onaki. And Naruto began to ask, Naruto asked, Naruto would say he doesn't really have anything to ask since, his first bit as Hokage has kind of been a bit crazy. Yeah. Onaki asked how. He said that, he had to deal with some drama that the past Hokage passed on to him. He says that, yeah. And he says, what's the greatest, thing that you wish you knew earlier as being a Hokage? Or a Kage, I mean. Onaki would begin to say, And he would say that, to not get too pushy on that. This is just Onaki trying to make Naruto not as much of an expander as the other previous Hokage were, because he wants to be able to take down the leaf. So yeah. But after that, the visit's over after they talk about the Akatsuki, and how the Akatsuki get to say that the 7-tailed Jinchuriki they need to go warn the 7-tailed Jinchuriki, and that the 8 tails is under safe protection. He'll get the 2 tails under the same protection that the 8 tails is currently under. And, he will also begin to... The Hokage stated that. Naruto began to say now they have 2, or at least 1 secured right now. And they'll have 2 secured if they can get to the 2 tails in time. They'll, then move on. Then Naruto will keep the 9 tails safe. And, yeah. But then Naruto dropped him a bomb. That he thinks that this organization could be run up. Well, actually, after they talk all about the Tail Beast protection and stuff, Naruto then drops the bomb saying they think this organization could be run by Madara Uchiha. And some of the Kage are taking Naruto as a joke right now. But then after hearing the word Madara Uchiha, all of them get dead serious and ask, what proof? Onaki asks, what proof do you have? Naruto says it's just a suspicion, but when he's suspicious about something, he normally knows. And also the 9 tails told him that this sounds like something that Madara would want to do, to take over the world and stuff. But then they all say Madara was dead. This is when Sasuke pitches in, saying that there was an old Uchiha trick that could cast such a powerful genjutsu it could bring someone back to life. It's called Izanagi, and they think that Madara could use this. And they asked to go inspect Madara's grave. Naruto began to say he doesn't know where it is. All those files are terminated by now. No one knows where it is. It's a secret location. But yeah, the Kage now are forced to make a decision. And they decide that they'll make an alliance right now. And if they have any sight of Madara, they will call a Kage summit, and they will begin to really crack down the Akatsuki. But yeah. After that, the summit ends, and the next arc is going to be, during this time, Jiraiya got, Jiraiya actually, before the summit, I forgot to cover, Jiraiya asked Naruto to go on the mission, which was to investigate the leader of the Akatsuki. And Naruto approved, telling Jiraiya to be careful, and, if he's gonna die, get out of there. And Jiraiya nods, but, yeah, he really doesn't. Too. But yeah, and yeah, so Jiraiya went, and yeah, I'm gonna stop it here with Jiraiya arriving at the the Rain Village, Pain Village, the village to fight Pain. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah, if you have any what-if ideas, tell me them in the comments. I may do them if I think they're good and I can come up with some ideas for them. But besides that, thank you guys for watching, and peace.